those were some of the reasons. Then I studied anthropology at college, and that also seemed to suggest that I had very little knowledge of the place that I had grown up in, because we live in our little bubbles, and it's almost as if we haven't experienced how people in their other bubbles in the coexisting in your environment what their lives are, how they function, what their literature is, what the language is. I felt I was very cut off from that, and I felt that the only way I could be to connect and to be authentic to my own being was that I immerse myself in a community and become part of that. Because my parents are migrants from India, so we don't have that ancestral connection to the land that we are on right now. But I was very keen to find out more and become part of that. So my first assignment, actually the first job that I did after graduation, was in Gilgit and Hunza with the Aga Khan Rural Support Program, and my idea was that I wasn't just going to work there, I was going to go and live there now forever. But that didn't work out because AKRSP was using the expertise of people who worked in the organization, but didn't really expect that people would go and live in the communities. So that I didn't continue with. I didn't even wasn't able to learn the languages of that area. So then when I came back to Lahore, I felt that I have to find out more. And then I was doing theatre, which was mostly Punjabi theatre. So I had to learn Punjabi, and then I got more and more attracted to the whole, because it's not just the language. The language comes with a whole baggage of culture and values and other things. So to understand things, it just seemed to, everything seemed to come back and seemed to be connected to the agricultural lifestyle. So that's how I started. I think when I actually got this land was when I was 23, around there.
Samiya, it must be very challenging to grow organic, considering the environment and the insects and everything, you know. So how do you deal about that?
It is very challenging also because the soil that I'm growing on is we started with very saline soil. So it wasn't conducive to growing anything. It had hardly any organic matter. We've been adding organic matter very regularly since I started. So things have improved, but there's still, I think, it's an ongoing process.
Why do farmers choose not to grow organic, and why do they consider the conventional mode of farming?
Because when you go into the market to sell your produce, the only thing that is given any value and is of any worth is the weight of your produce. And if you're growing your crops as cash crops to be sold in the market, then all you want is a heavy crop.
Higher
Yields mean a larger weight, and the weight often in commercially produced crops is of water. So that dilutes not only the nutrients but the taste as well, which is why you often organically grown crops will always be more nutrient dense. Therefore, they will have higher flavonoids. They will have a better taste. And what the chemical fertilizers do is that because they are water soluble, you need to irrigate the crops much more, and the crops start, when they absorb the water, they get that's the only way that they get the fertilizer, because there isn't a process of decomposition that is going on in the soil through which is a natural way of getting nutrients to the roots, is that the decomposition in the soil and the microorganisms they on the plants are absorbing the nutrients through a process. Here you're getting a processed fertilizer which is water soluble, and as the plant absorbs the water, it actually absorbs much more water than an organically grown plant would. So when you get your seed, which is the crop most of the time, or the fruit, it will be larger. But the size and the weight will be because of the water content very often.
Samya, how did that moment in life come when you realized you had to lead a purposeful life?
I don't think there was any switch. This is what I wanted to do from the beginning. My parents were always supportive of whatever decisions any of us made. So there was no conflict or any switch or anything.
What is your current level of happiness? What does happiness mean to you?
I don't know how to gauge that. Yes, I'm content. I'm happy. I suppose I'm content. I'm doing what I want to do, what I like to do. Um, there are no obstacles except for maybe from outside my immediate circle. But it's just that I find I'm always learning and I make a lot of mistakes. So maybe that is a factor that brings some uh, unhappiness, but there's always learning at the end of that. So it's a cycle.
By the grace of Allah, you seem to have achieved a successful life in your career in media, in film, in theatre. Is there anything you would still feel is left undone and you would like to achieve?
I've never done anything in my life thinking that I want to achieve anything. I've just done things because I wanted to do them, or
Followed your heart.
most of the time followed my heart. But acting, as far as acting is concerned, I think I've done a lot of work because I needed funds to run this farm. So it hasn't always been because it's a combination of need and want. And
you did carry that inborn talent in you.
I've always enjoyed it in the sense that I enjoyed doing acting and dancing in school and college, but I never thought I was going to make a career of it until I needed money for the farm, which is when then I thought, I have this one skill, maybe I can put it to some use.
Samya, how do you connect with the environment here, the wilderness which I see around me, the birds, the greenery, the flowers, basically your surroundings?
I watch them and I watch them live, and that
you could connect them with the times of the day because
times of the year also. Times of the year, you see the whole cycle repeating itself, and in a way that we actually have noticed that new kinds of butterflies come every year. There's a different variety that is added to the old ones. Birds, we've been noticing, my husband and I often comment on, oh, we haven't seen these before. And there's always the surprise. It isn't as if it's the same thing being repeated. There's always something added to that combination. One year we might see one pair of a particular kind of bird, and the next you'll see a whole herd of them coming. So it's always, yeah, but I feel as if we're adding on to whatever we had last year. It's becoming a little bit deeper or more or intense.
Thank you, Samya. How is life here, living in this environment and comparing it to living in the city?
I like being with my children and my parents and family and friends. That's always wonderful. But I always notice the noise level, which is very annoying after the silence here. And here, the most you'll hear is maybe a tractor in the distance, but mostly it's birds. And that's very pleasant. When you go into the city, you suddenly hear a lot of traffic noise and machines and motor pumps and whatever. Air quality is affected here also because we're not that far from the city. But other than that, I like being here because I like getting up in the morning and just going out. When I'm in the city, I go to the park in the morning then. So there are alternatives.
Thank you so much, Samya. My next question would be, why is health important to you?
I think because health personally, or the human health as well as the health of the environment and the earth is, you feel better about it if you're, I feel better about it when I'm able to produce my own food in a way that is not damaging the earth or the water or the air, and trying to understand the old practices that have sustained us for so many thousands of years, which we have managed to destroy in a very small span of time. So I'm just trying to understand what it was, how it was done, because there are no manuals for particular to the area that I am living in or growing in. So a lot of it is learning from by word of mouth, and
with time.
with practice, of course, trial and error. But I just wish somebody, maybe I should, or somebody should just put all this information together so that other people don't have to reinvent the wheel from zero again, and they can just build on our mistakes, maybe.
Have you ever thought of writing a book or
I
a manual like this?
I do think about it, but I feel that it's unending, and I can't speak authoritatively about something that I am still in the process of learning about.
My last but not the least, what three wishes would you like to have or which you desire?
No wars, no arms and ammunition, and equality.
Message for our audience, our youth, our country?
I don't think I'm in a position to give any messages to people. I suppose follow your heart, be happy, and try not to hurt other people.
Thank you so much, Samiya, for joining us today on the third International Day of our Happiness Summit of Pakistan Association of Lifestyle Medicine and being a part of this movement. Thank you.